know who I am?
Anything you say. Anything you say.
It's official.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. News-wise, it's same old. Nothing really major going on, other than the fact that apparently we are at war with the Middle East now, thanks to Biden and all them, the Democrats. I saw the thing with Iowa where the GOP leader now is, Donald Trump, but that's going to be in every state. So, other than that, that's pretty much it. There wasn't anything really big going on. So let's get to talking about what I really want to talk to you about this week. I just got done watching a television show called Automan. Now, there's only one season of this show. It was back in the 80s. I think 1983, somewhere around there. You can definitely tell it was inspired by the Disney movie Tron. In fact, those who produced the television show actually produced Tron as well. Now, I like the movie Tron, the original movie. The colors, the costumes, they removed all that pretty much in the newer version. It was very dull and bland. And it just kind of sucked, because I liked all the stuff from the original. I did not really care too much for the new one. Now, Automan, he kind of wears a similar suit, but it's way more flashier, way more blue lighting and crap than the costumes in Tron. But you also have Cursor, which is the bit from Tron, basically. But Cursor doesn't go... The bit from Tron said yes or no. The Cursor don't talk. Just, squiggly noises is about all it does. Now, basically the show is about a crime fighter, It's basically what Automan is. He's supposed to be a hologram who can take physical form. This supposed cop named Walter, who's the main, him and Walter and Automan are the main characters in the show. Now, Walter supposedly created him because he's like some computer genius. But yet, he just works for the police department. Which, okay, makes no sense. But whatever, it was the 80s. All the computer shit was new. The tech, it was all new stuff. Now, I'm not saying they didn't have computers before the 80s. I'm just saying computers weren't becoming a really big item until the 80s. So naturally, a lot of your television or entertainment, you know, they were all into the computer crap. Anyways, like I said, they're Automan's basically like this super crime fighter or whatever. He can create vehicles from cursor and uniforms. Let's see, what else can he do? Apparently, he can walk through walls, speak to computers. In fact, Walter can hide inside Automan. Don't ask me how that works. But apparently, he can, like, put himself inside Automan, and Automan takes control of him. It's weird. You don't see Walter, you see Automan when he does that, when they merge. But apparently he can make Walter walk through walls too, when he walks through walls. It's weird. But anyways, like I said, he could transform vehicles like Cursor, even in mid-run, like he'll be going around with his car, and then blip, all of a sudden it changes into a helicopter or a bike or you know, a boat or some shit. But they all have the blue glowing lights all around it. You know, it outlines the vehicles in him. But that's pretty well. Automan can also do some like energy wave crap, like a beam or some shit. Now the problem with that is that half the time, I mean through the first half part of the season, he would go, "Oh, I can't stick around anymore. It's daylight. Too many people are using up all the energy, blah, 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 gotta go." But at nighttime, when people are using the most energy, he's okay. It's like he could work at night, but he couldn't during the day. It made no sense. You know, his deal was, oh, everybody's using their electricity during the day, you know, whereas at night, you know, you have people sleeping, so he could stay around longer at night in his physical form. Now, every time Walter would call up Automan, he'd type in this code word called Crime Fighter in his computer, and then wherever he's at, the whole room's shaking until Automan shows up. Usually Cursor would pop out first of the computer, and then Automan would appear, which was kind of silly and dumb. But now Walter's girlfriend, she's another character in the show. Now she doesn't really become his girlfriend till like almost the very last episode. Anyways, I mean, they kind of had a thing going, but not really. And I'll explain here in a minute why. Walter, his character's really odd. Like, I thought he was this bumbling idiot for the first few episodes. Like, he was boring. I didn't care for the character at all. And then, you know, even though Automan says he's always wants to be on the streets fighting crime, and he wants to get in the thick of it, you know, get into fights and crap all the time, he didn't come off that way at the beginning. Now, halfway through the season, I think whoever was writing the show got the hint of that. Because the next thing you know, halfway through the season, all of a sudden, Walter is Jean-Claude Van Damme. I mean, he's doing all kinds of martial arts and whipping guys' ass and shit in the show, and I'm like, wait a minute. Now all of a sudden, he can fight? What the hell? But anyways, then he got a little more interesting, but not really. He was still, I really didn't care for the character. Then you had the old cop named Jack. I didn't get why. I mean, he could have been like in his mid-30s or something, but no. They brought in like this 50-year-old to play the cop. The guy he helps all the time. And then you have the captain, which just, he was annoying as hell because he didn't like Walter because he's a computer geek or whatever. Yet Walter's literally in every episode saving his ass, you know, as far as you know, solving crimes. It just made no sense. And then Automan, instead of calling himself AUTO, he calls himself OTTO for auto wherever he goes somewhere, because he comes to the station all the time and he claims he's Agent Man from the FBI or whatever, and that he's there to help. He does, you know, almost every episode. Now that was pretty much, you know, the cons mostly of the show. Yes, it was a little cheesy, but most of your 80s was cheesy, but it was good cheese. Not like today. All the shows today just suck. Anyways, it was okay. It was pretty cheesy, but it was okay. It wasn't bad, and it had potential. They could have done more with this show. Honestly, it could have gotten way better and been done a lot better, but I don't know. They just didn't do anything with it. They only went with one season, and you really didn't get you know, a spectacular ending. They just left it off, and that was it. I'd give the show a thumbs up and a thumbs down. It's okay. Check it out if you want. If you don't mind some good 80s cheese. It was decent. It was a decent watch. It was a buddy cop show is what it was. You don't see those anymore. You have to have some feminist lead in every fucking show now. And it's a boss bitch who thinks she's got to fucking, you know, up the man or whatever. It's just fucking retarded or ridiculous. I can't stand most of the shows today because of that. Now, a lot of your 80s shows, especially cops or whatever, it was a buddy cop. Or they started doing this thing where they had a male masculine lead and then a female partner, but she wasn't all like super badass blah blah blah, you know. She was still a woman and acted like a woman, a lady. Not today. But anyways, I am working on a few more. I'm trying to get through another 3 seasons of The Walking Dead. I told you I'd eventually get through all of them. Working on those. Let's see, what else am I working on? I'm working through watching all of Castle. Let's see. I'll give you a full rundown of season 2 of Reacher when I get done watching it. Best show on television right now, hands down, by far. About the only damn good show. And it's toxic masculinity. You know, God forbid you have some fucking dude acting like a fucking guy. Let's see. and I'll give you the rundown of the, oh my gosh, god-awful show, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I mean, it is so cringe. I know it's supposed to be a kid's show, but my gosh, is it bad. I don't know who rewrote this for Disney, but they were terrible. It's like a 6-year-old wrote it. Anyways, I'm working on all that. I gotta find another older show to watch again. I was thinking about going with Manimal. I don't know, we'll see. Let's get on to your B movie reviews.
Then I dash away from Popo. Yeah, snakes around my grass, they want my dodo. But I keep a 40, they don't know, no.
Okay, Movieholics. This week is Horror Week. And I chose a couple anthology series to do. Basically, an anthology series is a few short stories compiled together to make a movie or a book. The first one I'm going to go over is a movie called Nightmares. And it was done in 1985. Only made about $7 million. It has quite a few actors in it. But most noticeable was Emilio Estevez and Lance Henriksen. Now, there's 4 short stories in this movie. And they don't run together or anything like that. Like, there's not a central piece that runs them all together. A lot of your anthology movies, they have like one central story that tells like 4 different stories that go along with that main story, but not in this one. Supposedly it's supposed to be all based on urban legends, but the only one that really came off as an urban legend is the very first story. The other 3, you know, I don't see as urban legends. Like, the first one's about a serial killer. The second one, some kid who's addicted to video games, you know, finds himself trapped by a video game. The third one, you know, you have the good versus evil. The priest fights the demon, but you know, in that scenario, that's not really an urban legend. That's just, you know, a reoccurring tale. Good versus evil. And then the last one is about some giant rat, which is supposed to be supernatural. That's not really an urban legend either. It's just a tall tale. Not the same thing. Now, the first one is basically based on an urban legend. It has to do And in the 80s, it was a really popular one where, you know, a woman pulls up to a gas station and the gas attendant notices that there's a killer in the back of her car, and pulls her out of the way and then kills the serial killer who was going to try to kill her with a knife or something like that. That is an urban legend that's been told many times, about some escaped mental patient, and then he ends up in the back seat of a woman's car, and the gas attendant saves her. That's nothing that's been told many times. So the first one, it was okay, but you know, it was something that's been told many times. The second story is got Emilio Estevez, where he plays this punk ass kid who is really addicted to this video game. He's heard stories that there's 13 levels to this video game, but he's never been able to get to the 13th level, and he's kind of like this video game wizard, you know. He beats all the video games, so it's annoying he can't get to this 13th level. Well, for whatever reason, he finally does, by breaking in to this arcade in the middle of the night, back when there were arcades and not home entertainment systems. And he gets to the 13th level, but he finds out that the 13th level is actually realistic. Like, the video game becomes alive, and you know, they start trying to kill him. So yeah, the video game becomes realistic. He realizes it's no longer a game. He has this pistol. He's trying to shoot these things that are coming after him. And for whatever reason, and Emilio Estevez is really young in this. This has to be one of his first roles. Anyways, he tosses the gun. I don't get why he does that. And then, you know, he runs across what's called the bishop, who's the head of the game. And the bishop just swallows him up and then, you know, enslaves him into the game. He's now a part of the game. And that's pretty much the end of that story. The third one is Lance Hendrickson. And he plays a priest who's lost his faith because he tried to save this boy who got shot and he couldn't save him. So he doesn't understand why God helps some and then doesn't help others, or why he lets it happen. So he lost his faith. He decides to leave his parish, and when he does, he runs across this black truck. You can't see inside the truck, except for you get one scene where you see an upside down cross hanging from the rear view mirror or whatever. But other than that, that's the only time you see inside the truck. You don't see who's driving or anything like that. And it's popping up out of the ground and all kinds of shit. And it'd run into him and then it'd run away. It'd disappear. Anyways, he has several run-ins with it until he has this canister that's supposedly full of holy water. He was using it as drinking water, but then he grabs it and throws it at the truck, and then the truck disappears. He decides he's going to go back to his parish. That's the end of that story. And then the last one is about a giant killer rat. Well, no, he's not. It's not really a killer. It's just a giant supernatural rat, supposedly from Germany. It has a weird name. It's supposed to mean the devil rat. You can't kill it. Blah, blah, blah. You know, the devil rat is like... enormously large, like almost the size of a Great Dane. But I guess the family, they set a trap. The father does, and he catches a rat. He thinks that's the end of it, but no, it's apparently the big giant rat's baby, and the giant rat wants its baby, blah blah blah. So it threatens their girl until he goes and gets the rat out of the trash and gives it to the big rat, and then the big rat screams and takes the baby rat away, and that's the end of the done over with. I don't know. It wasn't all that great, the last one. The only reason I remember watching this movie when it first came out, the only reason why I watched it is because of the video game part. That was it. The rest of it I could care less. I mean, they were okay stories, but they weren't that great. Now, this was actually supposed to be a TV pilot for an anthology series, but instead they scrapped that and said, no, we'll just give it to Paramount and they can make a movie out of it, which they did. It's okay. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't that great. I give it thumbs up, thumbs down. At least she has some decent actors in this movie. Let's move on to your next one. The next one I watched was a Stephen King adaptation, and it was called Cat's Eye. Again, another anthology series, but this one only had 3 stories, not 4, and all of them were written by Stephen King. Now, you have a main story. Throughout the stories, you're following this stray cat. And of course, they have little pop-in scenes where they show Cujo and Christine and a couple others. The first story stars James Woods. He's basically, without realizing it, he wants to stop smoking. So he ends up going to this place a friend of his supposedly recommends. And come to find out, it's ran by mobsters. And they basically constantly threaten him, you know, if you start smoking, we're going to do this to your wife or something else, you know. They constantly threaten shit. Not to kill him, but to make his life miserable. So he's trying to be real careful not to smoke. He does slip, and they do torture his wife a little bit, but nothing too serious. Now the cat's involved in this too. They did it to him first to show him what would happen to his wife. But he does slip, and his wife ends up getting shocked or whatever. They have this little shock tank or whatever, and they shock her, make her dance. But it's an okay story. But a lot, you can tell it's just pure bullshit because, you know, them guys wouldn't be able to do any of that shit. They wouldn't get away with any of it. You know, I don't care how many clients they have or whatever. It's just utterly ridiculous. It's kind of like a spoof or something, I guess, on Quit Smoking. The next story is about a gambler who has this fascination with gambling. Well, this guy ends up stealing his wife or some shit. It's going to take off with her, but he gets a hold of him. He hires a couple thugs to grab this dude, and he makes him walk the ledge of his high scraper building that he lives on with the top penthouse. He's really wealthy. He tells him he makes a bet with, and he says you can make it all around the building on that ledge. You can have the girl, my ex, or my soon-to-be ex-wife. You can have the money, something about some money that he won, but he was trying to take it back. And then something else, I can't remember what the other one was. I guess his life or whatever. But anyway, he does make it across or around the building. There's a fumble because the hitman, he called in a hitman. He was going to kill him anyway. He killed his ex, or his soon-to-be ex-wife. Chopped off her head, stuffed it in the bag of money. Well, it pisses the other guy off. The hitman stumbles. He grabs his gun, shoots the hitman, then turns it on the gambler, the rich gambler, and then makes him walk around the building. But the gambler don't make it. Spoiler alert. And that's the end of that story. Then you get to the third story, which is basically all about the cat. Throughout the show, the cat keeps seeing images of little Drew Barrymore when she was a kid, telling the cat, I need your help, it's coming after me. Well, the cat makes it to where Drew Barrymore is, whatever state that is, and then helps Drew Barrymore fight off this little troll thing that's trying to steal her breath when she's sleeping. Her parents, of course, don't believe her. They think it's the cat, especially the mother. The mother has it in for this cat, can't stand the cat, tries to get rid of it, but it shows back up. She's calling it General Drew Barrymore. And General helps kill the troll. Spoiler alert again. And then the parents finally believe her because they see the mess, the guts of the troll and everything. Anyways, that's the end of the movie. Them 3 short stories. Again, the only reason I like Cat's Eye, and most people, you'll find that most people do, cult classic, because everyone likes that last story about the troll. No one really hardly even remembers the other 2 stories. It's the one with the troll, the supernatural shit. But anyways, good movie. Check it out. That last story is pretty good, even though it's cheesy. 2 thumbs up. Anyways, that's all I have for you this week. If you have any thoughts about what I talked about earlier in the video, please leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you have any underrated, B-rated, cheesy ass flicks you think I never even heard of or seen, please leave your suggestions down in the comment section down below, and I'll get to reviewing them as soon as I can. So, until next time, I told you would be told the truth, and you just been told.